right, go ahead and get this thing rolling here. Thank you everyone for joining us for tonight's knowledge forum titled Opportunities with USDA. My name is P. Wade Ross with Texas Small Farmers and Ranchers Community-Based Organization, and I'll be your moderator tonight. We do have a few housekeeping items. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, you have been automatically muted, so please feel free to use the chat feature right at the bottom there of your screen in case you just want to chat amongst each other. Any comments, we welcome that. And in respect for your time and your family's time, we will try to go no longer than 90 minutes. So if it hits 7:30 and you got to get going, no worries. Don't feel like you're being rude at all. Please feel free to excuse yourself. And we will be recording this, so we will be sure to send you, every attendee, out a link within the next couple of days. So don't worry about missing anything if you do have to jump off early. So shifting gears a little bit, before we get into our guest presenter tonight, I came to realize this morning that our organization is actually entering our 25th year in existence. So applause there. And with that said, we're going to bring on a special guest that I mentioned. Will be saying a few words. That's our founder, W. Wade Ross. Papa Ross, it's your floor.
First, I'd just like to welcome all of you and Happy New Year. And what a blessing to have you aboard with us on our 25th anniversary. Texas Small Farmers and Ranchers could not be what it is without your participation and your willingness to come out and make us all commune together. And one of the things that is so wonderful today is that this is a launching pad for us to get together physically soon and very soon. And hopefully that would be an idea that can be made possible, and that we all will be ready. And what day that may be, we have no idea. But when it comes, we'll find a select place where we will all be able to commune and be on one accord. And with that, I want to say again, thank you for meeting with us on this surprise 25th anniversary for the Texas Small Farmers and Ranchers and its constituents. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
All right, y'all. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You just heard from the real Wade Ross there. So if you didn't already know, that's where it all started right there. So next up, we're going to bring on our special guest to keep things moving along here. Floyd Nauls Jr. is the State Outreach Coordinator and Tribal Liaison for Texas, and has been recognized several times over for his contributions to USDA and the customers that he served. He has been the district conservationist for NRCS in many different field offices throughout the state of Texas. Floyd is a proud graduate of Prairie View A&M University, as well as George Washington University's Emerging Leadership Development Program. He has provided technical and financial assistance through Farm Bill programs for over 27 years, I believe it is, Floyd. And so, man, thank you so much. And he's also served as the Civil Rights Advisory Committee Chairman for Texas. He's active in supporting the Earth Team Volunteer Program. The list continues to go on. He is a National Employee Development Center instructor where he trains staff on how to extend effective outreach to all USDA customers. So, Mr. Nauls, we're so honored to have you join us tonight. And we're going to really, to get the most out of some of the insights that you have to share in your extensive background, what we're going to do is take a little bit different format than we normally do. What I'm going to do is read off a list of some of the most common questions that we have come across our desk, and then have you just provide your feedback openly, but this is informal, just straightforward. You could talk to us, talk to us the way we talk to each other. So even like we in a barber shop, so just let us know, give it to us real. After each question, what we'll do is we'll open it up for Q&A. So if anyone has a question, you can write it in the Q&A section below, or if not, what I'll try to do, you can raise your hand and then I'll peruse our participants and see who has their hand up, and see if we get those questions answered. And just keep in mind, if it feels like we need to keep things moving along, we'll table things and get to the next question, and then we'll try to make sure we find a way where Brother Nauls you can get in contact with him to get those questions answered. I would assume email, correct, Brother Nauls?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so great. So let me get to my list here, and let's see, the first question up, hold on a sec. I'm gonna see if I can share my screen here and get you on. Let's see what I'm gonna try to do. Go to basic. All right, so I'm gonna try to get you on screen here. I got a photo of you, so I got brother Nauls is he's got bandwidth there, so I wanted to make sure that let me see if we can get you on here. Hopefully you're showing. Do you see yourself yet?
No, sir, not yet.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to make a little surprise appearance, so I'm going to cut on my video for a short period of time so people at least know what I look like.
Perfect. All right.
Okay.
There he is.
All
Okay,
right.
so y'all know he's real now. So I'm gonna get to my first question here, which is just kind of a overview question. It says, USDA, for those of us on the call who are new to USDA programs and services, can you explain just at a high level, simple terms, what NRCS does, what FSA, Farm Service Agency, does, and what rural development does? What's the difference between the three of those?
Okay. All right. That's somewhat of an easy question. But when you look at USDA, you have a total of 26 to 27 different agencies that fall under the USDA umbrella. You have the Natural Resources Conservation Service. We have a lot of times to use acronyms, but the NRCS, that stands for Natural Resources Conservation Service. And we assist farmers and ranchers or landowners on their property with any kind of conservation concerns that they would have. From there, it would be as simple as a conservation plan, which will go through and address that landowner's concerns. And from there, they can build or expound on that by enrolling into possibly one of our Farm Bill programs. Typically, when we're talking about Farm Bill programs, most farmers and ranchers gravitate toward the EQIP program, which stands for Environmental Quality Incentives Program. And this is a program that provides financial assistance to farmers and ranchers to get practices implemented. Another major program that is out there that NRCS represents is going to be the CSP program, and that's the Conservation Stewardship Program. And basically, it mainly deals with enhancements, but it also deals with the installation of practices as well. So those are two of the big programs that most farmers and ranchers participate in with NRCS. There are some other ones. But when you start talking about the Farm Service Agency, the FSA, they deal with subsidies. So say, for instance, if you have a drought situation, a natural disaster, they would be the agency to contact on drought relief or a freeze or things of that magnitude. Like I say, they offer micro loans. They have some other different programs that they also provide assistance to farmers and ranchers. But once again, that is a different agency. So I would highly recommend reaching out to my counterpart, which is Josh Coleman, and I can provide you his contact information. He is the outreach coordinator for the Farm Service Agency. And the last agency is Rural Development. Rural Development provides assistance to individuals dealing with their homes, repairs, things of that magnitude. But once again, like I said, I don't want to get out into the deep end with a different agency, but I would say I would highly recommend reaching out to rural development to get more information about their programs. But one program that some farmers and ranchers actually get involved with rural development is called value added. And basically, if you're marketing products or you're trying to sell products, at that point, they actually assist by providing that financial assistance to be able to market your product in possibly a different way than you've done it in the past.
All right, well, that's well said, and we probably want to do a knowledge forum on that value added. So I'll be reaching out to you for some to see if you have a good contact for that. And for all the attendees, if you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the Q&A or raise your hand. Just know that some of this contact information, we will send that out along with the link that we send, email we send to you within the next couple of days. So don't worry if you're not quite sure who to contact, we'll get that over to you. All right, so let me see. I don't see any hands up. So going once, going twice. We're going to get to our next question here. It just in this regard to Farm Service Agency. It says, updates on, can you give us some updates on the development of heirs, property guidance or regulations to assist historically underserved landowners?
The Farm Service Agency has a real big push on dealing with heir property. Unfortunately, with it not being my agency, I can't really speak to that because once again, that is a totally different agency. But Josh Coleman, he would be the ideal person to get an update because I know they've had lots of things going on as far as moving forward to make that a better situation for Texans and basically anybody that has property that want to participate in their program.
All right. Let's see if we have any questions on that. And that's heirs property. That's again another knowledge forum. We'll be sure to hold it. I know we've had a few questions come in the last few weeks or so in regards to that, as far as folks who previously had difficulty getting a farm number because of heir property issues. And my understanding is the 2018 Farm Bill changed that narrative a bit. And so maybe we'll have a training on some particulars on that as well. So let's see if we got any hands up on that. All right, I'm gonna get to my next question, which sounds like it's along the lines of FSA, but if you could touch on it, that'd be great. It says, my question is, please share with us a little about the free crop insurance that is available for historically underserved producers.
Okay. Yes, that is a FSA county by county situation. I would recommend any rancher, first of all, making sure that they do have a relationship with their FSA by trying to go and obtain that farm and track number. And then from there, also getting on Gov Delivery. Gov Delivery is actually if you want to say our news media, to actually let you know what's going on in your specific counties as far as programs, different opportunities for farmers and ranchers to participate in different programs. So that would be the best thing that I would suggest as far as FSA. All
right. So to sum that up, it's typically county specific. So it's important to go to your local county office to get insights on some of that information. Okay.
Correct.
Right.
Like I say, I would highly recommend visiting with that local CED with FSA, and then from there finding out more details about it. And one thing, and I was going to bring this up toward the end of my program, but the thing of it is, you have every right as a landowner working with USDA to go and request a receipt for service. When you go into those county offices, the FSA or NRCS or rural development, if you if you have a need and you really want to request it, they have to provide you a receipt for service. And basically that should address what your concern is. And then from there, how can you address that concern or that issue?
All right, and we have a question here. So I am going to unmute Georgia Shaw and let's see, let me see if we can ask you to unmute. All right. Trying to ask you to unmute there, Georgia, but oh, there you go.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
you. Thank you.
Mr. Nauls, thank you for being here and providing us with all this information. I have my question is, when you were saying that going to your FSA office, okay, suppose you don't trust those folks, okay? I've had some issues of where I've gone and talked to them and they've been kind, but they have not been helpful, and I don't trust them. Is there a second recourse?
Well, as I was just stating, one thing that came about is that receipt for service. At that point, that individual is actually providing you a legal document that
Okay.
states what your concern is, and then from there, how you can address that situation. So I think this document, as far as the receipt for service, it actually helps people stay honest and stay truthful. Because once again, if they put something on that document that is not true, then from there, you do have other course of actions after that point.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Oh, yes, ma'am. But yes, it's called a receipt for service, and any USDA agency should be able to provide it. If they do not provide it, then from there, then I would say take it to the next level, because everybody that requests one, they are entitled to get a receipt for service.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, it looks like we got another, I'm not sure if it's a question. It says, good evening, that's from Joy. Joy, oh, here it is. It says, if you move on a farm and start your own services, are you required to get a different farm number?
That would be a FSA question. I don't want to dibble and dabble in their on how they work. But you know, typically you get a farm number and a track number. If, say, for instance, it was two people involved and that other person has ceased to keep the farming operation work, they will possibly merge it, or if not, they'll give you a new farm and track number, which is typically called a reconstitution or recon.
All right, I think that is all the questions. And keep in mind, we'll say one more time that we will provide Brother Nauls' information. So at the end, in case anyone wants to reach out to him, a question pops back in your head. But I'm gonna get to our next question here, which is another, well, it's just a question on the FSA deadlines for some of their programs. Is there any deadlines that you could share with us, or is that something we need to reach out to Brother Coleman on?
That would be something on Josh Coleman. But once again, if you are not getting Gov delivery, I would highly recommend tomorrow morning calling into your FSA office, providing them your email address, and then from there, then they can actually get you fixed up to be on task of getting those updates. I mean, monthly they'll send out at least one Gov delivery, and it will tell you about deadlines and things that's going on in your specific counties.
Right. So let me ask you this question. I promise I'm gonna switch to some NRCS questions. But
That sounds better.
all right. So let's say you are working with FSA, you go through a winter freeze and lose some vegetables, and it's part of your income in a particular year. Do I already need to have my FSA farm number in place, before I can take advantage of that, let's say there's a program for 2020 or 2021, I would already need to have my farm service number in place before I could take advantage of those years, correct? Versus, hey, I need help back then. Now I want to go in and get my farm service agency number. That doesn't help me going backwards, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Like I say, as soon as anybody that has property and is running cattle or a farming operation, I would highly recommend going and getting that farm and track number. Like I say, you know, a lot of people have, I'd say, some trust issues, but once again, they don't want the government in your business. Well, the government is in your business already. So, you know, especially if you're going to take advantage of programs, you have to, that is one of that is the key to open the door for you to be able to get involved in Farm Bill programs.
Yeah, I typically tell folks, I say, hey, if you punching that clock till 9 to 5 and you filing your tax returns, you know, you got a birth certificate, you got a social security number, you own property, guess what? The government got your information. So, and so for me, the way I look at it is, hey, they taking 30% out of my paycheck in and paycheck out for the last 20, 30, 40 years. I might as well get my due by the services that y'all offer, because everybody else is. So that's how I look at it. I'm going to get off my soapbox there, but I figured I'd chime in since you made that opening. But let me get to some of these NRCS questions here.
Perfect.
Says, what's the latest on the topic of urban agriculture and some of the NRCS initiatives here in Texas around that topic?
Okay, perfect. All right. In regards to the Natural Resources Conservation Service, we have urban conservation employees. Currently, we have 6. From there, we have a young lady, her name is Tara Fannin. She's in Lubbock. We have Maggie Garrett. She's actually located in El Paso. In Zone 3, which is in Austin, we have James Rodriguez. In Zone 4, we have Jay Knight, which is in Houston. And in Zone 5, we have Michael Higgins, which is located in Arlington. And basically, we do have a representative. She's kind of the lead of all of the urban cons. Her name is Wilma Tischler, and she is actually in the state office. But we currently have these individuals that work with our urban settings. No matter if you have a backyard or a small scale operation and you're trying to grow vegetables or have raised beds or high tunnels, things of that magnitude, these individuals can actually work with you and inform you about different opportunities that you can actually partake in through NRCS. And in regards to programs, that would typically fall under our EQIP program. But then also on another note, we have actually posted some new positions to get more urban cons in, because that's the wave of the future in regards to urban areas. It's more of a need. You know, you have a lot of district conservationists and soil conservationists out in the rural areas, but there's a true need for urban work and urban conservation. So there are some positions that just recently posted and closed, to where Dallas is going to get one. Tyler, Houston is getting another one. Robstown, San Benito, and I believe Bernie. So urban is in the forefront. We see where USDA and NRCS sees where it's a need, and we're responding to that need by hiring more urban conservationists to be able to go through and work with our urban sectors.
All right, good info, good info. Let's see, do we have any questions? Feel free to raise your hand or type something in the Q&A. Let's see here, going once, going twice. All right, nothing for urban ag topic. Let's move on to my next question, which is, please share with us what we can expect from this new outreach point of contact position that we continue to hear about. that is coming through the field offices and some of the zone offices through NRCS. Can you share a little bit about what that is? What does that mean to us on this call here?
Yes, sir, Mr. Ross. Actually, that's near and dear to me because those employees work with me on a more regular basis. USDA NRCS has created a collateral duty for some of our employees, which we're looking at about 60 employees scattered throughout the state of Texas. And they are considered our resource team outreach point of contacts. And what these employees do is basically they will accompany a district conservationist or a soil conservationist out in the field to make sure that the quality assurance of spreading the word about HU participation, the different rates that are typically historically underserved are entitled to, and just explaining the whole situation of what we can do as an agency to actually promote conservation. So, I mean, it's a really, really great opportunity for a lot of people to get out there, work with typically our historically underserved, and make sure that they are getting the information that they need. So once again, like I say, I appreciate the CBOs actually bringing that request to the forefront. And then from there, my agency acting on it and allowing me to train these employees and get them to a level to where it's gonna benefit everybody involved.
All right. So any questions on NRCS's new position where they're creating point of contacts for historically underserved farmers? I don't see any hands up. I'm sure there'll be more on that, though. We're gonna hear on that. I guarantee you. All right. So let me see. Here's one that Brother Nauls, if you don't mind, just speak as candidly as you can. You're amongst friends here. Please touch bases on some of the things, some of the need to knows, some of the things that may not be spoken, but the things that you at the NRCS are talking about, when you're in the break room, some of the frustrations, some of the things that you really want us as farmers to know. What are some of the need to know when it comes to contracts, agreements, standards, specifications, and really lifespans of some of these contracts as well, of these programs that we're entering with NRCS? What is it that you would want me to know? Not only just the pitfalls, but you can share some good stuff too.
Okay. All right. Well, first off, the way that NRCS works with individuals, basically we go through and we look at resource concerns. And that's what my agency does. We address resource concerns. Now, Joe Farmer, I want a pond. Well, it's more than I want a pond. It's like, why do you need a pond? It might be to facilitate rotational grazing. It might be to stop an erosion, a gully from cutting into your up a hill. So at that point, basically, it has to address a resource concern. If you have a tendency to go in and say, well, I just want a pond, like that, you're kind of sometimes setting yourself up for a situation. You want to make sure that you are open and you're explaining to that individual of why you want that pond. And at that point, then once again, if you don't particularly understand it and you need a little bit more guidance on it, request that receipt for service, because that's what it's there for. But once again, we address resource concerns. One of the main things that I would tell anybody on this call is to make sure that you get a good understanding of what you're getting involved with when you're entering a contract with USDA and NRCS. We do have standards and specifications, and we do have lifespans. When we're talking about standards and specifications, one of the most complicated specs is going to be fencing. I know how to build a fence. Mr. Ross know how to build a fence, But once again, USDA NRCS wants you to build a fence a certain way. And if you're willing to build that fence a certain way, then from there, there's an opportunity for you. We sometimes have some issues and concerns of, well, why did they make me do this? And why did they make me do that? Once again, this fence has a lifespan. So it has to be there for, and I believe a fence is 20 years. So once again, if it's built to those specifications, it should stand the test of time and be there for that lifespan. So like saying, that's on every practice. Every practice has a standard and a specification as well as a lifespan. So I would highly recommend anybody interested in programs to make sure they get a good understanding up front. And once again, you know, when I was in the field as a conservationist, I would always tell my producers, do your homework. I would leave after our conversation and me getting into the nuts and bolts of what we offer and how I can work with you. But now it's time for you to go do your homework. And when I say do your homework, if you're coming in and requesting, say, for instance, cross fencing or some other practice, go and find out what those materials are going to cost you. Have some clue of what you're getting into to find out, okay, yes, to receive this financial assistance through this Farm Bill program, it's a benefit. It's a win-win for me, you know. But, you know, when you look at it, you know, who knows, you might have a brother-in-law that works for the railroad, and from there you can get all the cross ties that you can possibly need. It might be cheaper for you to go that route. So that's a determination that you have to make on your own, because once again, when you're talking about used materials, that does not qualify for financial assistance under our program. It's at least for fencing.
All right, good stuff. Now I know from a farmer standpoint, you know, we like conservation, but we enjoy money a little bit more. And so we are always looking at it from a financial standpoint. And what I'm hearing you say is that's not necessarily the approach that you guys are taking. You're looking to help us out financially, but it needs to be conservation focused, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm gonna see if I have any hands up, because I know that conversation comes up quite a bit. So feel free, anybody, if you got any questions on that piece or any concerns, or maybe there's some gray area out there that, you know, is really, you've really been wondering about, you know, now's your time to raise your hand and express that, any of those questions. Let's see if we have anybody. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm going to move on to my final question here, which is just really NRCS program deadlines that we need to be aware of.
Okay. One thing about one of our programs, at least our bread and butter, which is our EQIP program, it's a continuous sign up. So if somebody tells you you missed the sign up, something is wrong. Basically, we have funding windows of when we're going to actually go through, pull those applications, review them. They should be ranked for funding. So one thing about EQIP, it's a continuous sign up. You can sign up at any time. If you miss that first ranking window, sign up for the second one. So don't be discouraged if somebody's telling you you've missed the deadline for an EQIP application, because it's a continuous sign up. Now with CSP, we do have, you can sign up at any time as well. But once again, we do have those windows of opportunity. So that would be the big thing to do, is whenever you are making an application, just ask that individual, hey, well, what is the deadline? When does this need to be submitted? Like that, they can either get you in the gear to make sure that you get everything in a timely fashion, or, okay, well, I'm not going to rush this. I'm going to take my time, make sure I have, you know, everything that's needed, and then from there participate during the second or the third window of opportunity.
All right. Well, that does it for my list of questions here. Anyone have any last call? Any additional questions? We've got one coming here from my brother, Mr. Tutt.
Mr. Nauls, if we sign
Yes,
up
sir.
the micro irrigation, so NRCS is no longer paying for tanks that are dug out in the pumps.
And now what is this for? If you could repeat that again.
I applied for a micro irrigation because it's too deep where I am to dig for a well, and the water comes up at about 170 or 180 degrees.
Okay.
So I dug a tank, and the gentleman was saying, you no longer reimburse for tanks being dug, and effective 2022, you no longer reimburse for pumps.
Now, on that question, Mr. Tutt, I don't know how to answer that one. Once again, did this individual supply you something, or it was just saying, no, we don't offer that anymore?
The ag engineer just told me we no longer pay for pumps. And we
Okay.
no longer pay for you to dig your tank out.
What did he or she provide any other alternatives?
No.
Okay.
Tank full now, but I mean, because at first my conservation was telling me I needed a state permit. And so I went to soil and water conservation. And he said, you needed a permit to pump from a creek. So I'm not pumping from a creek. I'm pumping in my boundary. So if I need a permit, then you and the NRCS need to give me $40,000 a year for a mortgage payment. And then when I told him I was pumping on my property within my property boundary, he's like, you can pump all you want. And that's when I got involved with the ag engineer, but he informed me, the ag engineer, that NRCS is no longer reimbursing for us digging our tank out or the pump. So they're just basically going to reimburse us for the piping system, is what he's saying. But I didn't get any documentation, so.
Okay. Once again, that would be kind of like, I'm not gonna say engineer's call, but once again, that would be an evaluation that would need to be done. I would personally say, if that individual could give you something in writing, like a receipt for service or something saying why the agency could not provide that assistance.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
All right, so that receipt of service is one of those things that we need to keep an eye. I know in talking with you, Mr. Nauls, ahead of this event, that was one of the things that you were really highlighting. So, and I know my dad there, Wade Ross, that's something that he's talked about over and over again. You know, tell folks to make sure they get that receipt of service. So,
Right.
very important. Is that it's a piece of paper when you walk in that if you request that, they're supposed to give that to you. Is that correct?
That is correct. If for some reason they do not, then from there, if you would pass it up the chain to Mr. Ross and pass it on to me, and we'll make sure that that situation gets dealt with.
All right. That's all.
But-
That's all
but-
we can
but-
ask for.
But now, one thing that I would like to share with the group that's here on tonight, one thing that's going to come up real soon, and I will be sending this out to all of the CBOs that I work with and all of the different organizations here in Texas. We have our locally led work group meetings. They're going to start taking place, and basically these meetings are hosted by the SWCD, but it's an open type meeting to where you can get a better understanding of what all is going on in your communities. Meaning, you know, just depending upon if you're in timberland or if you're in irrigation land or wherever it might would be, what are the practices? And you can bring up those type of questions and concerns that you might have to find out if it can be addressed. If it can't, then from there, it can be at least looked at and reviewed to find out if it's an alternative or something else that can be offered that's going to help you through your situation. But I would highly recommend attending these locally led work group meetings. And at that point, you do have a voice. And at that, you know, and having that voice, you can get a better understanding of what is offered, what's going on. You have a little bit more information on the lingos of what's transpiring within an agency. So, you know, I would highly recommend attending those locally led work group meetings.
All right. And I see Wade Ross shaking his head up and down because that's something he's been preaching from day one. So I'm gonna shift gears here, but Brother Ross, I'm gonna let you have another word on that because I know you talk to me about it all the time. So you got the floor here. Go ahead and say a few words on that last comment that Brother Nauls just shared with.
Thank you very much. I just attended the number 450 Soil and Water Conservation and the local work group meeting Monday. And it was embarrassing. The board of the Soil and Water Conservation and all of the USDA representatives was there, and not a single farmer showed up. We even had a spread of food and drink for them, and they didn't show up. And the presenter went on as if everybody was intact. And it was so much information out there that not only do new and beginning farmers need, but the experienced guys that are allowing things to expire in their lifetimes and don't do anymore, they can give the information to someone else. But it was real shocking that the community-based organizations and farmers at large did not appear. And so don't forget those local workshops that are being offered in each one of the districts. You will be appalled how many and how much info is out there available to you. And they're dealing in your geographic area, so they're not concerned about USDA and NRCS in the whole Texas. They're dealing with your consortium in your geographic area where it affects you. So please go out and participate in those local workshops. Thank you.
All right. And thank you for those words. That's something, like I said, y'all, that's my daddy. So I hear it all the time. So hey, I got y'all here. So you're gonna need to hear that. We got to show up. I see Dr. Tina Henderson's hand up. So I'm gonna click on you and see if you can unmute.
Hi. I can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, so I have been trying to attend one of those local community groups, and I just can never seem to. Whenever I see the notice, it's already happened. Are they publicly published somewhere?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. Basically, as soon as my agency formulates all of the locally led work group meetings that's going to take place in Texas, I'm going to send that out to all of the CBOs. And at that point, then the CBOs can share that on websites or emails, just so like that everybody is fully engaged and understands when it's going to take place. Now the notices that you might have been seeing, I'm not sure, that might have been for the SWCD meetings, because typically your soil and water conservation districts have local meetings that's held monthly, and they have them, you know, in scattered throughout the state in different locations, or they have one location, have to post it to show that they're going to have that meeting. It's an open meeting where you can go in and, you know, get a better understanding of what's going on with the SWCD. But once again, like I say, that is another meeting, I believe, and that's the Soil and Water Conservation District, which have their monthly meetings.
Yeah, I'm in Washington County, and I've been because I think it's Austin and Washington County have theirs together, and every time I don't know where the information is, and every time I go to see it, I'm like, oh, it just happened. So I'm just wondering if it's published somewhere, like on the website or anything, because it, you know, sometimes on the website it'll be to be determined or so whatever.
Okay, it should be on a website, but I would say this, if you could obtain my contact information, send me an email and just, let me know Washington County and you're interested in attending the SWCD meeting. And if I could find out when that meeting is going to be held, and I will get that information to you.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, and we'll make sure, Mr. Nauls, that we post it in our newsletter. So when we try to get that out each week. So I've got another hand up here, Brother Terry Jackson. So I'm going to see if we can get you on here. See if we can ask you to unmute. Unmute button. Oh, there we go. Oh.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
No.
You hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, thank you for sending out the notice and letting me be a part of this. Mr. Ross and Miss Ross, I love you guys. I hadn't seen you in a long time. But I want to talk about the census of agriculture, the census for agriculture reporting. Did anybody else get that form other than just me? And it has to be filled out before February 6th. How the importance of that? Can anybody explain that to me?
Yeah, I received it. Go ahead. Go ahead, Floyd.
Yes, sir. But basically, the census, it actually goes through, and it's a government agency called NAS. And they go through and they gather all this information. When you complete that and send it in to formulate, okay, well, how many HU participants do we have in this specific county? Or what are the demographics? How many Afro-American men or women ranchers that we have? And from there, it creates an overview of the dynamics of Texas and in certain areas. And at that point, when programs and things like that roll out, then at that point, it gives us a better understanding as far as USDA of how these programs are and who we are impacting and how they can take advantage of it. So it is a great opportunity to let them know, A, that you are in this community and you are actively engaged in agriculture, no matter if it's farming, ranching, growing timber, whatever it would be. And at that point, then, your voice is heard. So you're there.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm almost finished with the packet here. I'm trying to get it in before February, and I had to get some receipts. It's about like keeping your receipts and things of that nature for your tax man just about. So I'm thinking that I'm thinking it's a good access. Go ahead.
I do understand. Now, like I say, you do have an option to actually go and file it online as well.
Yeah,
so
I saw that as well.
Okay.
But I'm real old school, I'm an old guy, and I thought maybe if I could fill it out and then maybe I can go online, I can probably fill it out a lot quicker. But I also trust my own receipts and things that I've got handy here that I've already conjured up for last year, because it's all basically talking about 2022. So,
yes,
but I had not been to my tax man yet, because I do work a little small job. So, but I just see that this is running pretty close hand in hand. It's what it seemed like to me.
Exactly.
but I know that it's a good deal for us Blacks, farmers and ranchers, to participate in this here because they can see the numbers. So I just think it's a great thing. I was just wondering, I knew that someone else has received that same census that I had. So I was just wondering what their take was on it.
Yes,
Well,
I actually received mine as well. So definitely, thank you for that question there. I did a presentation just this past week. I think it was over the weekend, and down in I think Guadalupe County, and man, the topic of census came up and they almost ran me out the room, you know. So it's like we ain't giving them folks our info. So thank you so much for asking that question, and Mr. Nauls, thank you for that feedback, because it is, you know, and I get it. You know, that's always been a hairy subject for our community and the information. But like we said before, they already if they know where your land is, they down there at the county records every day, you know, perusing it. So they have the information. They just want to make sure, you know, what we want to do is make sure we have a voice when we're showing up in Austin and when we're showing up in Washington, D.C. and they're saying, hey, we don't have no numbers where you at. You know, we need, that's the purpose for it. You know, it's not to expose you in any way but a beneficial way. So thank you for that. I do have a couple questions in the Q&A. It's one question here. It says, will there be a replay? Yes, we will be sending out the link within the next couple of days for all participants here. So stay tuned for that. Be looking for that in your emails. We do have another question as far as meetings. I was wondering if the Small Farmers Association meeting in Grimes County, is it still only on Zoom? Not familiar. Is anyone familiar with can you answer that, Ross?
Yes, we are still meeting. We do it when there's a certain number that is requested. We were trying to do it every month, but it didn't work out. So what we wait on now is enough of our participants to request it, or if something come out extremely hot, we will contact the membership list and let them know we need to speak, we need to talk. And that's basically what we are doing right now. I know it's difficult because of the pandemic, but you know, with as many members as we have out there, we can't meet all those separate needs. So we're waiting for an abundance. And if you have a couple of hot items and you got, say, 10 or more persons need to, we can come together on Zoom, or we can come to a said place where we can spread out and discuss it. I have a meeting format that the Agriculture Extension has given us. So when we meet on a farm or something where we can space ourselves so that we don't be eligible or guilty of aiding and abetting the spreading of, you know, the situation that's out there. So if you have a need, contact me at the office or the said number, and we'll get back with you and give you some complete information how we can proceed. I hope that's adequate, but that's where we are right now. Thank you.
All right, the boss has spoken. So yes, if you have anything, if you want to gather, just reach out. We'll give you our contact info. You'll receive an email. You just respond to that same email. But that's a good segue to get into some of the upcoming opportunities and events that are coming our way down the pike here. So before I do that, thanks so much, Brother Nauls, for sharing with us and bringing your insight to the table. And we know where to find you. We'll track you down. So excited, especially about the point of contact program. Excited to get that going, and you know, we'll let you know how it's going one way or the other.
All right, all right.
Yes.
No,
yes.
I greatly appreciate the privilege and the honor to be able to address the audience, and hopefully the information that was provided was beneficial. And once again, like I say, everybody has a listening ear. Hopefully we're taking notes, or if not, they will replay this and get just a little bit more information that you can use on your operations day to day, because that's what we're here to do, is help and assist. And we want to make sure that everybody has that same thought process and mentality. So once again, whatever I can do to help you all, please reach out and email me. And then from there, if it's something that you're confronted with, we can see if we can address it in the most positive way.
All right, appreciate you big time. All right, so we still got a little bit to go here, but we get close, y'all. But have a few quick things to share with you. Before I do, it's a little bit of real talk. We've already kind of had it there, but I've been meeting with groups of farmers all across the state of Texas, and for that matter, actually all across the South. And we all have similar stories. It's what those stories are. You've heard them, especially about the land loss and the opportunities and lack thereof. And really, those stories are real, but it's time that we rewrite our own stories here, really start repositioning ourselves to use our key resources right now. And there's two key resources that we need to focus on. Number one is our young people, and number two is our land. So really what that means is re-educating ourselves on the basics of establishing healthy soil and growing healthy food the way our ancestors did. And I mentioned this in my meeting over the weekend with the group down in Southwest Texas. But when you hear that word regenerative farming, all that means is farming the way our ancestors did. Most people don't realize that the synthetic fertilizer that's being used didn't really exist on a massive level until after World War II. With the hydrogen bomb, they start using this to mass produce food to feed the world. And I get it. But what happened was now people started depending on that as the only way of farming, and what it did to many of us. And we're seeing it now. Just got off the phone with the farmer who's like, look, I grow vegetables. I have a vegetable garden, but there's no profit margin there for me because of the cost of the input. So now is the time that we relearn, especially if we're not farming, and the thing is, let's not do it big scale. Do it in a small space garden. Learn small. Then once you figure it out and learn the skills and knowledge that you need, then you can go large. If you're a livestock producer and you don't produce vegetables, but you focus on livestock, but guess what? Livestock got to eat too. And it's eating the grass is coming from the soil. So let's start re-educating ourselves on what those things are. Let's start re-educating ourselves on using our land as a money generating asset to build wealth, for the next generation that's coming, for the youth, because right now, many of them have no connection at all with the land. We have to shift that, because if you haven't noticed, when you go into the grocery store and you pump in your gas, there's right now a transformation happening right in front of our eyes. And it's like if you ever seen frogs boiling in boiling water, guess what? They don't jump out. It's a slow death to the point where once they realize what's going on, they're already boiled. Now, so you don't want to be that frog. So what we have to do is start taking those steps now. So there's some opportunities that are coming on board right now. We do, in the upcoming months, we are going to be doing some training focused on soil health. We're going to be doing some trainings on wealth creation, and we're also going to be doing training similar to what you got a snapshot of tonight, of accessing those government resources that are going to help further, our operations. Also, we do have some opportunities right now, no matter where you're at in your farming venture, whether you're just starting out or maybe you've been farming for years. We have an opportunity right now with Texas Department of Agriculture. They receive $50 million earmarked for socially disadvantaged farmers. And you understand what that means. And so over the next 18 months, what we've done is we try to, kind of push our way in the door there and make sure that we're getting our piece of the pie. So we're working out some marketing agreements right now where if they got that money, that's our tax dollars. We want to make sure that they're buying from farmers that look like you and I. But problem is the feedback that we're getting is, hey, we can't find y'all. We can't find no farmers. So we got an 18-month window where they're going to be buying vegetables from us at top dollar. They're going to be buying meat. Right now, that meat means beef and pork. So if you know any beef, somebody with cattle, maybe they want to turn that cattle into ground beef and they're okay with that. Maybe that's extra money, seed money to help them start their garden or their vegetable enterprise. Maybe it's something that's going to give them the opportunity to get the funds to restart and cull out their herd and restart a new herd for cattle calf production. We need to start thinking that way, because right now, I can't give you a number because we're still in negotiation, but they're paying double or more than double of what the market rate is going to be. But what they want to hear from us is that we have farmers who are going to be ready over these next 18 months to deliver, whether it's a little bit or a lot. The more we can deliver, the better those numbers are most likely going to be. So those are some of the things coming down the pike. We'll be sending out a survey at the end of this event. And in that survey, it's going to ask a couple of questions of your level of interest. And if you're interested, please let us know. If you know of other farmers out there of color who may be interested in getting in on this, let us know, because I have to get back to them by the end of the week and let them know our overall level of interest. So the more the merrier, whether it's vegetables or it's beef or hogs or all of the above. And then we'll get into those specifics later on down the road here within the next month or so. So please let us know. And other than that, please make it a habit of reviewing our weekly newsletter just to stay in tune with what's available out there, along with some of the different news and insights that's available. Again, a special thanks to Mr. Floyd Nauls from NRCS for joining us tonight. Also want to thank our team behind the scenes at Texas Small Farmers and Ranchers Community-Based Organization. And till next time, thank you so much and God bless.
Thank you.